So welcome to the Wednesday Night Live Q&A. When you jump on, please just tell me your name and either state or country so I can enter you into the live drawing. We'll do the drawing about 7:15, 7:30, depending on how many questions we have. And we'll kind of go from there. And then I'm happy to stay on until 8. If we have a lot of questions, I'm happy to stay until 8 and answer questions. So hopefully we have a good turnout and some good questions tonight. So here in Utah, we're actually, hi Marion, we're actually having a snowstorm. So I was driving in Park City today and it was a nightmare. It was so bad. I don't know, if you're a skier, you're probably familiar with Park City, but, oh, Marion, what part of Utah? I've probably asked you this before, but I don't remember. Emily's here. Anyway, so in Old Town Park City, they've got really steep hills and like really narrow streets. And I was like going downhill. I was only going like 5 miles an hour and I started sliding. So I, on purpose, tried to steer into a snowbank just to stop myself from sliding. So it was really bad. So anyway, luckily to come here, from Ogden, that's right. I think I do remember that. Luckily to come here, I only need to drive up the street to where my office is. So that's good. Okay. Emily from Virginia. Emily is reading a book that I recommended to her. Hi, Cindy. And Anita. Florida. Oh, Joey's doing better with barking. That's good. That's awesome. I always like to hear how the dogs are doing and if the suggestions and stuff actually work. Because I do deal with barking a lot with clients, but I'm very fortunate right now. I have 3 dogs that don't bark much. They bark to alert me. They bark if something's going on outside, or if they're outside and somebody comes to the house, they're like my doorbell. So I can go to the door before people even get to the door because my dogs let me know that they're there. But as soon as I tell them quiet, they're quiet. So, oh yeah, I forgot we have 2 from Florida, Cindy and Anita. Yeah, earlier on, it was on my Facebook page. We were talking about, I want to go to Florida and go to the beach. But I'll wait till summer because, I don't want to go if it's cold. I want to wait till the weather's nice and warm. So it's very cold here right now and it's snowing out. I don't know what's it doing in Ogden? Is it snowing in Ogden? Because in Park City, man, it was like coming down. And the roads were bad and they were slick and it was really bad. I'm getting new tires on Friday though, so hopefully that will help. Because I have a Subaru, so it should do really well in the snow, but not with bald tires. Okay, so you guys that have gotten on, do you have any? Anita. Doing a bit better with Drop It, but still a challenge. We'll continue to work on it. Yeah, and one thing I did is, Drop It was pretty easy for Jade. So one thing that I do is, let me get a treat out. She's actually out chewing a bone. But if this is the dog and the dog has something in its mouth, I'll put the treat like right up to their nose. And I'll use like the salmon treats because they're the smelliest. And I'll say drop it and then just hold the treat there until the dog drops the item for the treat. And then right when they spit out the treat or the item that they're chewing, then I give the treat. So what I've been having issues with Jade is because we're trying to teach her to like pick stuff up and bring it to me and drop it in my hand, but she'll pick it up and then immediately spit it out for the treat. So that's what we have been kind of working with. But I started doing it with a tennis ball. So I would roll a ball and say, like, pick it up, and then bring it to me, and then drop it. And then she would drop it in my hand for a treat. So we actually had to start with a tennis ball. And then we've kind of moved to like a key fob thing that she can pick up. So, but if you're just working with drop it, your dog will eventually get it. Another thing you can do is work with something that the dog can have back. And so then, you're doing give me. Yeah, good. So then after they give it to you, then you can give them the treat and say, okay, take. So the dog actually gets it back. So in the dog's mind, it's like, I drop something, I get a treat, but then I get the item back. So you're basically just trading back and forth. And then sometimes I don't give it back. I'm like, here's your treat. And then it's like, okay, we're done. So that they don't always think they're going to get it back. So, so Ogden got lots of snow too.
You don't want it?
Yeah. Jay, do you want to come in?
I don't know what she wants.
You want in? Come here.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. So Jade just joined us. So yeah, I practice kind of the trade back and forth. Hi, Julie. Write Julie down. Julie, New York. Okay. Yes, the key is to always have treats on you. And, when I go to people's houses, they're like, well, we basically have to have treats out all the time. And it's like, well, yeah, when you're training a puppy, and you want to reinforce good behavior, then yeah, you do kind of need to have treats, like a lot, or I got to fix my ponytail, it's bugging me. You do have to kind of have treats a lot. Otherwise, you have to use something else as a reinforcer. So if you don't have treats, then you can use something else. You can use like a ball, you can use praise, reinforcement. But remember that the dog gets to decide what the reinforcer is. So if they don't really care about toys or just praise and affection, then you have to make sure that you have something there that is really reinforcing for the dog. Otherwise, if it's not a reinforcer, then the dog is probably not going to be as inclined to do it again. So yeah, and especially, so when I started doing service dog training with Jade, they basically told me to have treats, like little bowls of treats all over the house. Just so that if she alerts or does something, I can reward her. So yeah, during training, you do want to have a lot of treats out. Okay, Destiny. Oh yeah, and Cindy, I do that with Jade too. We practice the like take, give, take, give, and we just do it back and forth, and it's a lot of fun. Okay, South Carolina and Cindy, West Virginia. Yeah, you can put treats in the in every room. And you can even put them in bowls if you just put them up high enough so that the dog can't jump up and get them. So if you guys were here last week, which a couple of you were, it was a little chaotic with family emergency and stuff like that. So I actually came into my office today just to avoid all that. So anyway. Okay, so does anybody have any training questions that I can answer? I think I've got everybody's name down. So I'm trying to scroll. Oh, hi, Kathy. Kathy, I bet you wish that you were back in St. George. Although I heard down in Salt Lake, it's just kind of windy, but it's still dry. Up here, it's like a blizzard. We have so much snow. And I had to hike 2 dogs this morning, other than my own. So it was freezing cold, and then by the time I got done, it started snowing harder, and we had to like go 5 miles an hour to get home without sliding down the hill. Okay, Michelle from Ontario. Oops. Oh, yeah, Cindy, paws Joey uses as a way to hug. I've tried to teach that to Jade because my little dog Piglet, I would say, give me hugs. And he would like climb up and put his paws here and then put his head. And it was the cutest thing. And other people could do it. Other people could say, Piglet, come give me hugs. And he'd climb right up and do it. Jade hasn't quite figured it. Jade's bigger than Piglet was. But when she climbs up, she just like wants to give your face a bath. So she's a licker. So I haven't quite taught her how to like climb up and hug without like licking my face. And Jade will French kiss you and stick her tongue up your nose. So, okay, Cindy, I'm trying to get through the puppy biting stage. Yes, that's probably one of the hardest and most frustrating phases is the biting. So what I do is like sometimes you can do like the ouch too hard and just let them know that's like that biting is too hard. And then you can get up and walk away. I do another thing called the 3-bite strike rule that I actually learned from another trainer. And what that means is the first time the puppy bites, you redirect them to a toy. So it's like, oh, you can't chew on me, but here is a toy and you can chew on this. And then if the puppy lets go of the toy and goes back to biting you, then that's strike 2. And you calmly pick them up, put them in a crate with a toy because we don't want the crate to ever be negative. We always want it to be positive. And leave them there for like 1 to 2 minutes so that they can have a time, like some time to decompress and chill. And then then you can let them out in 1 to 2 minutes. If they go back to like biting you again, that's strike 3. Then you can put them back in the crate, cover the crate, and leave them in there for like a nap or a long time out. And that's to give you a break as well, so that they, you get a break from the biting and the dog gets a chance to take a nap or chill out. So I redirect first and then give a 1 to 2 minute timeout in a crate with a toy. It's kind of like in puppy class when dogs get playing too rough. I will give them a timeout for like 1 minute and they just have to sit and watch and they get like a 1 minute timeout. And then we let them go back in and play. Same thing with biting. And then if they go back to biting again, they go back in the crate, cover the crate. If it's in the summer or if you live where it's really warm, then you can turn a fan on just to give them some air and ventilation. But then you can, kind of like just leave the dog in there for a while. So that's what I do. And it's just a lot of redirection. So puppies use their mouth to explore their world. And it's normal for them to chew on things. This is how they learn bite inhibition. So they're gonna chew on stuff. It's up to us to say, oh, you can't chew on that, but here you can chew on this. If they're chewing on like furniture and things they're not supposed to have. If they chew on you or on flesh, that's when I do the bite rule. It's like, oh, sorry, you can't have teeth on me. So that's kind of what I've been doing. Okay, Julie, let me make sure I got everybody else's questions up here. I try to go in order so I don't forget anybody. And of course, this thing doesn't want to scroll. Okay, let me ask this one. Oh, Julie, I need to write your name down. Um, okay, struggling with, okay, so Julie Kaplan, I will come back to your question. I'm going to answer the other Julie's first. I'm just going to go in order. Struggling with getting my puppy and older dog to get along. Okay, that's a really good question because a lot of times older dogs are just like, especially if they're sore, if they have arthritis or they're sore, they don't feel like playing. Sometimes puppies can be really annoying. So I would start by, if your older dog is able to go on walks, like go on walks together. You can do fun things with both dogs. So, like, have them both do a snuffle mat, controlled, of course, so that the puppy can't run over and take the older dog's treats. But a lot of times when we have inter-household aggression, we'll do fun things with both dogs so that they kind of learn, oh, when I'm with the other dog, we get to play go hunt or in the yard, or we get to go for walks, or we get to do these fun things. So you want to try and do fun things in the presence of the puppy without the puppy like being able to climb all over the other dog. And if your older dog corrects the puppy, that is totally appropriate. Like, that's fine to have the older dog correct. So if he like turns and snaps or growls or, just gives a correction because the puppy's not being appropriate, that's totally fine. Because the puppy should learn, oh, okay, that's too much. I'm getting in trouble, so I'm going to back off. So you can do that, or let that happen. But again, you don't want like the puppy to get attacked or bit or anything like that, but it is okay for the older dog to correct. Some puppies just don't get the hint and they keep going back and climbing and biting. And in that case, I will be the advocate for the older dog and separate them. And you can separate them by baby gates or put one outside and one inside. You can always tether the puppy to you so that the older dog gets a break. And so, kind of do that. And then just try to do like some really short little interactions and maybe play sessions, things like that. And then again, try to do like fun things when they're both in each other's presence. So like stuffed Kongs even, or Nyla bones, or like my dogs really like turbo tendons. So I give them turbo tendons altogether. So things like that. But only have it when they're together. So to the older dog, it's like, oh, well, the puppy's not so bad because when he's there, I get turbo tendons or bully sticks. And when the puppy's around, we get to play go hunt or we get to go for walks and things like that. So that he starts associating fun things with the puppy. And then sometimes it just takes time for them to get kind of used to each other. But again, you always want to be the advocate for the older dog, especially if they have arthritis or they're sore, things like that. Okay, so Julie Kaplan, I've been thinking of trying to teach Dakota to help my kids with meltdowns. One of my kids has anxiety and one has autism and gets overwhelmed with too much noise or crowds. How would I start? So that's a really good question. I would actually, so there are things you can do, like pressure. I don't know the correct term for it. It's called pressure therapy, I think, where you can teach a dog to like lay on your kid's lap or sit on their feet. So I did work with an autistic kid once and his dog, and when he would like have a meltdown, we taught the dog to just go lay on his lap. And so as soon as the dog laid on his lap, that kind of like grounded him, calmed him down, and it actually worked. So it's good if the kids are sitting. If they're standing, I would almost teach the dog to go like sit on their feet. So they would probably have to turn, like the dog would have to turn this way, so facing out, so their butt can like sit right on their feet. And that almost like does the same thing. Um, Another thing that you can do is something called heart to heart, and I'm learning this from another trainer right now. And that's where you lay down and you have the dog like lay on top of you, so their heart is over the human's heart, and the dog's heart rate will actually help decrease the heart rate of the human. So, like if somebody's having anxiety or a panic attack, you can teach a dog to like lay on your chest and just lay there, and then their heart can help the human's heart calm down. It's so amazing how it works. But I would start there. You might actually need to work with a service dog trainer to get some of the stuff down, but that's where I would start, is to have Dakota start picking up on cues that one of the kids is having a meltdown, and then it's like, okay, when this happens, then I want you to do this. So when one of the kids does start to have anxiety or whatever, then you can cue the dog. You can use cues like lap, or heart or feet or something like that, and just kind of use luring and shaping to get the dog to like sit on their feet, lay on their lap, lay on there. With this other dog, I didn't know how to do the heart to heart at that point, so we just taught the dog to give hugs. So we taught the dog to climb up and just like give the kid a hug, but that would calm him down. So that's honestly where I would start, is doing that. So I actually have a book on service dog training, but I haven't had time to look at it yet. So I'll have to look at it and see what kinds of things are in there. I have trained service dogs before, but usually the ones that I train are mobility dogs. So like picking stuff up, helping you keep your balance, things like that. I've only worked with one service dog for an autistic kid, but it was really interesting, and it actually worked well. So, okay. Oh, Anita, peanut butter smeared on the side of the shower really helped in the shower. Thanks for that helpful hint. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that helped. I did that with a dog. I'm working with this little puppy, and this puppy is almost like too attached to the owners, to where if anybody else takes the dog, like he starts to panic. And he doesn't like his feet touched or anything like that, or nails trimmed. And so we were actually trying to do like the peanut butter on a paper plate and having him lick that while I was handling the feet and trying to like a few nails, just to have him have a good experience with it. So yeah, it's amazing how that works. And you can use you can smear it right onto the shower. You could use a Frisbee. At the shelter we use Frisbees, and then you can use paper plates, and they work really well. So okay, Emily, I do have a question. Staring, hyper-focused, and shaking, whining at the cat. If I do something with the cat, she starts whining, this new mouth vibrating thing. That's actually, if you're talking like when they go, they bite their teeth really quick and their mouth kind of starts vibrating, that can be anxiety. Running up to her sometimes. And so sometimes if dogs get really hyper focused and they shake and whine, a lot of times that actually is anxiety. And I see that a lot in reactive dogs that are either reactive towards people or other dogs, or it can be cats too. So I would do the same thing that we've talked about with the others, like teach her a flight cue, teach her relaxation, teach her just to look at the cat and stay calm and get a treat. So do the look at that, or the engage, disengage with the cat. And I would do it first with just the cat, and then maybe try to do it when you're with the cat. So, and it could be kind of a stalking prey thing, but it sounds more to me like it's more anxiety. It could be a little bit of like resource guarding you. It's like, okay, that's my person, and I don't want the cat with you. That, you know, like she's mine. So it could be a resource guarding thing. So um, you could treat Raven while you have the cat. So it's like, oh, when I have the cat, like you're going to get treats. It's funny because if my cat is on the couch or is on my lap, my dogs steer clear. They're like, oh, we're not even coming close. It's so hilarious. I have 3 pit bulls and they're terrified of my 20-year-old decrepit cat that's like falling apart. And then when she sees birds, squirrels outside, she stares and gets excited. Well, and that would almost be more of a prey thing to me. So with squirrels and birds, that like staring and like getting excited, that would be more like prey, like I want to chase. And with the cat, it could be more of an anxiety thing if she's hyper focused and shaking, and then the mouth chattering. That's more like anxiety, and it could just be because you have the cat and she wants to be with you instead of the cat. So again, I would teach relaxation, and I would teach her to just look at the cat, stay calm. If she does start like running up to the cat, I would do the flight cue. So like the retreat and have her go the other way. All those things. But I would probably start with the relaxation for that. Okay, Pepper is 6 and does growl at times. So growling is totally fine. Just growling is like saying back off, you're being annoying, I don't want you to do that. So that's appropriate. Okay, and you're doing a settle with Joey. That's good. Okay, Susie, tell me where you're from, and I will enter you in the drawing. So I'm going to write down your name right now, and then I will answer your question. How do I keep my 7-month-old from jumping on people? He is so excited to see them. Okay, that's a great question. So yesterday I went to these people's house that have a 7-month-old German Shepherd Husky, and this was the worst jumper I have ever experienced in my entire life, even worse than Jade, and Jade's bad. So my own dog likes to jump on people. So if dogs jump and they get attention, it reinforces that behavior. So then they're going to do it all the more. People will have this habit with Jade because I'll say, please don't let Jade jump on you. Turn your back, ignore her. So it's what we call negative punishment, which means the punishment just means we don't want the behavior to continue. Negative means we're going to take something away. So we take away our attention by turning our back. So for instance, if people come over, I know Jade's going to jump. And so I'll say, if Jade jumps, I want you to turn your back and totally ignore her. Don't give her any attention, until she's got 4 on the floor. And then I will step in and tell her to sit. And then when she's sitting, then I tell people, okay, now you can say hi. Like now you can pet her. Now you can say hi to her as long as she's not jumping. The problem is some people say, oh, I don't mind. I love dogs. And you kind of have to train the people and say, well, I'm trying to teach her not to do that. And then some people will say, like with Jade, they'll push her down, or they'll say, oh, your mom's going to get mad, get off. And I'm like, well, you just talked to her, touched her, gave her attention. So inadvertently, you're rewarding that behavior. So it's best to just tell people to turn their back and they totally ignore the dog. The other thing that I had to do yesterday is like, if I turned around, the dog was like jumping on my back. And so we had to do a sit. So if a dog is sitting, they're not jumping. And it took a while to get this dog to realize that jumping was not going to get the dog anything. But as long as she was sitting, I was giving treats. And as I was talking to the owners, I would intermittently give treats for sitting. It's like, oh, good job, good sit. And I didn't really click. I clicked the first time when the butt hit the ground, but then when she stayed sitting, I would just continue to treat because she was sitting instead of jumping. Then if she started to jump again, I would just turn my back, ignore her, and then turn around and put her back in a sit. So the short answer is the other important thing before I get to that, nobody can reinforce it, because if anybody comes in and says, oh, I don't mind, or if one person in your house lets your dog jump, then it's confusing for the dog and it's going to be harder to fix it. So everybody has to be on board and everybody has to agree that that's the way you're going to do it. So even with excitement, I like to teach impulse control along with that. So it's like have people turn their back, ignore, and then you can teach the dog to sit and wait. And so then I know that they're really excited, but if they get up, that makes the person move back or turn around. But if they sit and wait, then the person can approach and pet them and say hi. So that then it becomes rewarding for the dog to sit and wait instead of getting too excited and jumping. So that's what I do. But I constantly have to, as soon as somebody walks in the door, my eyes are on Jade, and I'm like, okay, sit, you gotta sit. And then she'll sit, and then I'll tell people, okay, now you can pet her and say hi. But if she starts to jump again, I want you to turn your back, walk away. So we've had to really, really do that. Okay, my puppy doesn't get the hint from the older dog, but I'm glad to know it's okay for the older dog to correct. Yes, it absolutely is. And this happens even in puppy class. Like I kind of warn people, like if one puppy corrects another puppy, that's totally okay. And don't like freak out if a dog growls or snaps, because that's just basically saying, hey, that's too hard. You're being too rough. I don't like what you're doing. I don't let them fight, but I do let them correct. So it's the same as with humans. If somebody says, hey, that was too hard, don't hit me that hard, or hey, I don't like that, or hey, you're too close. That's the same thing as what a growl is. Oh, Marion, I'm on a board for a service dog organization and can help you with resources for owner training. That's awesome. Okay, you guys can message each other through Facebook, and that's great. Okay, let's see, Susie. There's like this thing right in the middle of your question, so I can't see the whole thing. I'm trying to scroll up again. It's stuck. So while I'm trying to get this to move. So Marion, I'm currently working with Molly Baker down in Orem, if you know her, with Jade we're trying to see if Jade could become a migraine alert dog for me. She has kind of woken me up and alerted to 2 migraines, so we're now like working with her to do that and like retrieve medication and stuff like that. It's really interesting stuff. So I'm really new to doing the scent part of it, like seizure alert and diabetic alert, migraine alert. I'm new to that. I have done mobility dog, service dog training, but nothing beyond that. Okay, Susie, this is a great question. How can I keep my pup from darting out an open door? I actually did this same thing this week with a dog. So when the owners would come home, they'd open the door. They live in a condo, but when they would open the door, the dog would bolt out and happened to bolt out and bark at some kids, and it scared the kids to death. So we worked on a stay, like a sit stay. And we practiced going in and out the door. You can do a wait. So if you want the dog to wait before going outside, I do a wait. So wait means like wait a second. So I do wait, and then I start to open the door, and if the dog moves, I close the door. And then when they wait, I open the door, and when the door's open, then I'll mark it like click or yes, let's go, and then we go through the door. And I do that for doors. I do it in the car too, so they don't bolt out of the car. If you don't want them to go through the door, then do a stay. So stay for me. So wait for me is like wait a second. So wait a second, and then we're going to go through the door. Wait, and then you get to get out of the car, and we're going to go for a hike. If they're not going to go out the door or get out, I do stay, because stay for me is kind of like stay put. So we practiced with these dogs like doing a sit stay while the owner opened the door, walked out, opened the door, the dogs run up to the door, he did stay, and then he came in. So we practiced that over and over. So either a stay or a wait at the door, and then make sure you reward it. So if you're asking the dog to wait before going out, then the reward can actually be, we're going to go for a walk, or wait in the car. And then when I say, okay, let's go, then we get to go on a hike, or you get to go to the dog park or whatever. So, so that can be your reward. You can give a secondary treat reward if you want, but you don't have to. But then if you do stay, let's say that you're trying to come in the door, then I would do a stay. And then once the door closes, then really praise the dog, give the dog a treat, reward the dog for staying, so that it's more rewarding than bolting out through a door, if that makes sense. Okay. Oh, tethering helps with getting the dog on your feet. Oh, that's a great idea too. I've actually been working with Jade on sitting on my feet. Not that I need that. I just like kind of shaping and experimenting and getting better with my skills. So with Jade, we've been doing, she knows lap really good, but we're starting heart to heart, and then we're trying to do the feet thing. But if you know Jade does not sit still very long, which is why she just had, in fact, I'll show you. Sorry, I just dropped something. Oh, she was asleep. I just dropped something. Jade, say hi. Anyway, she just had a lump removed from her paw, and I took her bandage off yesterday, as instructed by the vet, and put her in a crate and went to work yesterday, and with a bootie on. She's got a bootie on. Surprisingly, she still has it on today, but she got the bootie off and chewed her stitches out. So we had to go back to the vet yesterday, get her restitched. She's got a bootie back on, but now she just has to come with me because I don't trust her to be home because she'll pull it off. So anyway, she's like just got a lot of energy. So trying to keep her calm, and sitting in one spot, especially like on my feet, is challenging. Okay. I see Sarah has a question. So I get this, when you guys post, I get this little thing that says new message, and it's like right over your question, and I don't know how to get rid of it. And so I'm just trying to scroll up, and sometimes this thing doesn't want to scroll. It takes a minute. Whoops. What happens if I click on new messages? Oh, let's see. Okay. Except I think I lost your question, so let me go back. Okay, so there we are. Julie. Oh, you said you're on day 2 here. Oh, Emily, I'll have to look and see what the name of it is. I know I got it a while ago and I can't even remember what the name of it is. I have a really bad habit of buying books faster than I can read them. I have probably like 20 right now that I haven't read yet. So I'll look and see what the name of it is. Um, okay. Oh, you have your own um, service dog as well. And then I thought I saw down a little farther that you do know Molly. Yeah. So Molly's actually, she's great. I met her at a um, dog training seminar last year. Um, if you live in Ogden, you probably know Laurie Schlossnagel, and she had a seminar last year with Susan Friedman and Kay Lawrence. And so I actually had heard about Molly, but I met her there. And then when Jade started kind of waking me up, and like at night, she would wake me up in the middle of the night. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And then I realized it's like, "Oh my gosh, I got this terrible headache." And I don't know if she was alerting to that or if she, what if it was just a fluke. But I contacted Molly, and I had worked previously with Sky, if you know Sky Poitras. She helped me train one of my pit bulls to be a mobility dog, and she's great too. But she has not done like the scent stuff, like the seizure and the diabetic, which Molly has. So that's why I've been working with Molly to do this, and she's great. So not to get off track, but I have to tell Marion since she's on here. I have a client. Um, some of you guys might find this interesting because I know you're not supposed to post about service dog stuff um, on the Pupford page. So those usually get deleted. But I have a client that has two puppies. They're siblings, and I'd worked with them like 3 or 4 times, and then they got COVID, and then I got COVID. But they have a home in another state, and so they wanted to fly with their dogs. And I'm really like, that's my pet peeve, is people just saying, "Oh, I have an emotional support dog," just so they can fly with their dog on the plane. And when people ask me, how do I get my dog certified as an emotional support because I want to live in a certain apartment or I want my dog to go on a plane with me, I won't help them because so many people abuse that it's made it harder for those of us who actually need it. Two of my dogs have been mobility dogs and they have flown with me. So I guess she tried to take her two dogs on the plane and said that they were ESA dogs. And she had a note from her doctor, which, a lot of doctors will just write you a note. And her puppy, these are puppies, so they're like 12 weeks old. They barked at everybody. They were so ill-behaved that the airline said, "You cannot bring these dogs on again unless they're trained." So then I get an email from her that says, "We want to train our dogs to be psychiatric service dogs." And so I says, "Well, what specific tasks do you need them to do?" And she's like, so she sent me the list out of, like, there was a definition of psychiatric service dog and all these like possible things that they could do. And I'm like, okay, but which ones do you need specifically? And I could tell, like, it's just, we just want to be able to take our dogs on the plane. So I actually referred her to Molly and Sky because I know they have set programs. They'll make them go through the program. And I think I love the way they have theirs set up because it kind of weeds out those people that are just trying to get away with taking their dogs somewhere, or living in a certain place. It's really tough when you're a trainer because people all the time ask. And I used to just ask for a letter from their doctor, but now it's like a lot of people. My cousin actually works in the healthcare system, and he says they have several people a week coming in and asking for letters for ESA dogs. So I wish they would regulate it more, but maybe if you're on a board, you can PM me sometime and give me some ideas on like what to do with that, because I usually don't help people if I know that they don't really need it. Now there is a guy that I am helping who is a veteran and was a police officer and a veteran and has really, really bad PTSD. And he's already been duped by 2 service dog training agencies that basically took his money and then never got back to him. So I am helping him. But other than that, I usually just refer everything to Molly and Sky, unless it's something easy that I can do. So Susie, I was going to write down. So you're from Canada. Okay. Okay. Sorry to get off on that little tangent. Let me, since I have a service dog person here, I have all these questions. Okay. I've got to scroll back up. Yes. And I know, but I thought that airlines no longer allowed ESA. Because the last time I looked, so many people were abusing it that I thought the last time I looked that emotional support animals were not recognized as service dogs and could not get on a plane. And I think that's why this particular couple now said, oh, well, we need a psychiatric service dog. Oh, yeah, I just read your other one. ESAs can no longer fly in a plane. Yeah, and that's why first they needed an ESA, and now all of a sudden they need a psychiatric service dog. So that's why I know they don't really need it. So I'm referring them to somebody that I know will say, oh, you've got to do these 4 classes, or you need to do this, this, and this. And they're going to be like, no. So yeah, it's really sad when people try to do that. And then they take these ill-behaved puppies on the plane and then they ruin it for other people that really need it. Okay, guys, I'm trying to scroll up to get to the questions that I missed. And for some reason, it's not scrolling. You guys know I go through this every week. This thing never wants to scroll. I wonder what happens if I just... Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, Michelle, are bully sticks safe for Yorkie pup, 12-week-old? He doesn't stop biting and chewing everything. I think bully sticks are fine. I give my dogs like Nyla bones. I think that would be too hard for them, or like the marrow bones would be too hard. But I think a bully stick for a 12-week-old would be fine. The other thing that I like to give for 12-week-old for younger dogs are like rope toys, because they can really sink their teeth into that rope and it helps with the teething. So I like to do stuff like that. And they do have like the really heavy duty rope toys. And that's not going to hurt their teeth. But I would think, I've seen bully sticks come in different sizes too. So I'm sure they make a size for the smaller dogs. In fact, I know they do because I've seen them. So I would just get one small enough. And I think you'd be fine with a 12-week-old doing that. Okay. Let's see, Emily, would it be easier if I just sent you the messages again? Yeah, just PM me your questions or the things that you want. So, okay, let's see. So, Marion, I have to tell you, I had my dog Jade. We were practicing, so with Molly, we have to log all of our hours and all of our training. Like, she's totally legit. And that's one reason, like, I really wanted to go through an actual program so that people can't say, oh, well, you're just a trainer. You just slapped a vest on your dog. No, I am paying, doing the work and everything else. Yes, some of the work, like the public access stuff, a lot of it I can work on myself. But we were coming out of a restaurant and I had Jade with me, and there was a guy walking in with a dog that lunged and growled at my dog. and his dog was supposed to be a service dog. And I just kind of looked at him like, are you serious? Like, my dog didn't do anything. She just kind of stood there. She was unfazed by it. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think that you have a real service dog. So, yeah, it just ruins it for everybody else. Okay, I'll get off on that tangent. So let me write Alessandra down. From Vail, Colorado. Okay. Is there any questions that I've missed? Right now, since it's actually scrolling, I'm going to scroll back up and see if I missed anything. Joey gives older dog kisses if I tell him to. Yeah, I actually have taught all my dogs to kiss on cue. And they do it, but now that my dogs also like to eat my cat's poop, I don't let them kiss me as much anymore. Oh, I missed your question, Alessandra. I'm sorry. Oh, let me write down Catherine too. Sorry, I got off on a tangent. You can tell the stuff that I'm really passionate about, and one of them is people misusing service dogs. It just drives me absolutely crazy. Okay, how to introduce a high energy dog to a new puppy. She gets really excited, and I don't want her to. That's a really good question, because it is really important not to scare the puppy, because especially if the puppy's like in one of its fear periods, we don't want the puppy to be like afraid. So you might put the high energy dog on a leash and then let the puppy approach on his own or her own, and kind of let her interact that way. If you can get the older dog to like do a downstay or lay down while the puppy comes up and like explores and sniffs and stuff like that, and then reward both dogs for being appropriate, you could do that. So I've kind of taught Jade, like Jade goes to puppy class a lot, and she does play rough, but she's really good with puppies, and she's really good about like, toning it down for small dogs. But I have taught her like, oh, easy, gentle, things like that. So if your other dog gets playing too rough or is too high energy, and if the puppy acts afraid, then I would give the high energy dog kind of a timeout. Not an in trouble timeout, but just like a 1 minute decompress, settle down a little bit. The other thing you can do is kind of like pick the puppy up. Another thing that I do in puppy class is I tell people, put your dog down. If they run back into play, then they're like having fun. If they don't want to go back in, then they're not having fun. So then we need to be the advocate for the puppy and like not force them to play with another dog. So it's kind of just a matter of, I would also just start doing walks with them, like let them go on walks together. See if your other dog, will, again, like I said, do a downstay. You might work on the relaxation protocol with the high energy dog, which teaches the dog just to go to a mat and be calm with increasing distraction. So it kind of teaches them how to settle down on a mat. And if you want to email me, I'm going to put my email in here. It's just Tracy with an I at pupford.com. And just tell me that you want the relaxation protocol. I'm happy to send that to you. And I would work on that with the high energy dog. And then with the high energy dog too, I would do, some like impulse control stuff, like, wait or stay. Like I said, the downstay, let the puppy come and check out the other dog. Things like that. And then if it does get too rough, then I just separate them. Like, again, they're not in trouble. I'll just say like, gotcha. And then separate them, give them a 1 minute timeout, and then see if the puppy goes back to play. If the puppy goes back to play, then he's fine. So Monday night in puppy class, we had 3 big dogs and 3 little tiny, like 6-pound dogs. So I had 2 different play groups, and I had a big dog play group and then a small dog play group. All of the small dogs wanted to come play with the big dogs. So we let them come out and play, and they did great. Like the little dogs actually did really good playing with the big dogs, and it was no problem. There was one little dog that would get a little yappy at the dog, so we kind of took her out for a little bit. And then I let her just kind of play with Jade and kind of get socialized that way. So yeah. I hope that answered your question, but if you'd like that relaxation protocol, just email me and I'll send it to you. Okay, Catherine, I got you down. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Carolyn, my dog barks nonstop at new people that come in my house, and she won't let them pet her. Should I work on putting her at place or removing her from the situation until she's calm? Okay, that's a really good question. So if she doesn't want to let people pet her, I wouldn't force her. So this is what I do when I walk into somebody's house. So if I walk into a reactive dog that's like barking at me nonstop, I throw treats behind the dog. So it's called treat retreat. So I throw treats behind the dog. The dog has to go back and get the treats, and then they come back. And as soon as they start to come back and bark at me again, I throw treats behind. So the dog keeps going further away, coming back, goes further away, coming back. And then they start to calm down. And then I start to throw the treats like not as far. Eventually, when I can tell that the dog is calmer and not barking as much, but more interested, like, oh, you're giving me treats. Oh, you have treats. You have a bag of salmon treats on your hip. Then if I can, I will offer my hand with a treat, but I don't ever force the dog to come and take it. So if the dog comes and takes the treat out of my hand, great. Then we'll keep doing that. But I don't try to pet the dog. Sometimes when they go to take the treat out, I'll start to like pet under their chin. But for fearful dogs, and it sounds like your dog might be more on the fear side, people reaching over is really scary. And a lot of dogs will like cower or back away and not like that. So when I can, when they take the treat, I'll just slowly start to scratch under the chin. And then if the dog backs away, I let him back away. I don't ever force them. Especially with dogs that don't want people to pet them or interact, it's really important that you allow the dog to back away and say, oh, I'm not comfortable with that. And that's okay. That's totally okay. When the dog learns that they have a say in what happens with them or who they get to interact with, then they're going to be a little bit more, oh, okay. See you, Cindy. Thanks for joining us tonight. Once the dog learns that they have a say in what's going on and what they can do, then they're going to be a little bit more willing to be like, okay, well, if I don't like this, I can back away. So maybe I'll get a little bit closer. So I would definitely work on the relaxation protocol as well. Just because as you work up the protocol, you get to where, you have somebody knock on the door and your dog stays calm on a mat. And then you can have like somebody walk in and your dog stays calm. But again, I like to throw treats behind. The other thing that you could do is if somebody knocks on the door or if you know somebody's coming over, put your dog away and put her in another room. And then ask people to come in and sit down so they're not standing and looming over the dog. So once they're seated with a handful of treats, then you can bring your dog out on a leash and just ask company to toss treats to her. Again, they can toss behind her so that she has to like move away and then come back, move away and come back. Um, and I always tell people like kind of turn sideways. Don't give the dog direct eye contact. Don't stare at the dog. Just like, so like if the dog was over here, I would sit here and just toss treats. And I'm not really looking. I'm kind of looking out of the corner of my eye. And then I might get closer, and when the dog calms down, then I might put my hand out and see if the dog wants to come and take a treat out of my hand. If they don't want to, I don't make them. So I actually did this 2 weeks ago with a German Shepherd that barked at me for an entire hour. And finally, she was able to come and take treats out of my hand, and I was finally able to pet her, not only her chin, but then I was able to work my way up her neck and then be able to pet the top of her head and stuff, and then she was fine. But it took a while. Like she was really nervous. So yeah, I think, and especially if your dog barks at them coming in the house, you can teach like a go to your place, but I think what I would do first is work on like knock at the door means, oh, we're going to run to the back room and you're going to get a bully stick. And then put the dog in the room, let the company come in. If it's somebody that the dog doesn't really need to meet, like the plumber or the TV repair guy, then just keep her in the room with her treat and she doesn't need to come out. If it's company that you want her to meet, then you're going to bring her out on leash and just instruct people, I want you to just toss treats to her. Don't look at her. When she comes down, you can offer your hand and see if she takes a treat. If she does, great. If she doesn't, don't force her. And kind of let her get used to them at her own pace. So that's what I would do. So the people tossing treats is so that she kind of makes that association like, oh, strangers equal treats. But we don't want the strangers to be threatening, which is why I have them sit down. I have them turn sideways. And I even do this when I go in people's houses. Like I'll turn sideways, toss the treats, don't look directly at the dog. And it can take a while for the dog to settle down and then want to come up and take treats out of your hand. So that's kind of what I would do. Carolyn, if you want to email me as well, tracy@pupford.com, I just put it down there. Ask for the relaxation protocol and ask for the flight cue. So what the flight cue is somebody knocks at the door and you say like, oh, retreat, and it's like, retreat to the dog means I turn 180 degrees and have the best party and treats ever. So you run to the back room and they get something really high value that they don't ever get any other time. So, like, bacon or turkey necks or something like that. Then if you do that a lot, and I practice it a lot without any stimulus. So I practice that before we see another dog or before somebody knocks at the door, so that when they hear that retreat, they know, oh, I turn this way and run to the back room and I get my turkey neck. Then when somebody knocks at the door, that becomes the cue. The dog's like, oh, somebody knocked at the door. I run to the back room. And then you can bring them out once everybody's come in and sat down and it's calm. Because if you think about it, like people coming in the door and saying, oh, hey, how's it going? Like that's a lot. It can be a lot of stress for the dog if the dog's already kind of stressed at new people that come in the house. So hopefully that answered your question. Another thing that you can do with, I kind of call that stranger danger, where dogs, bark at new people that come in the house. You can also give them like wooden spoons with peanut butter on the end. So the spoon is like an extension of their arm, but you don't have to worry about the dog biting them. And so I'll have people like reach the spoon out to the dog and let the dog like take the peanut butter, or you can use squeeze cheese and let them kind of lick that off of the spoon so it becomes like an extension of their arm. You can do that as well. Oh, the bones in turkey neck isn't dangerous for dogs. No, so these are raw turkey necks. I get mine from a lady that raises sled dogs. And so she gets these by the cases. So they're not cooked, they're just raw. So yeah, once they're cooked, I think they can splinter and they can be dangerous. But these are the actual raw turkey necks, and I freeze them and I give them to my dogs frozen, and I've never had an issue with them. I also know my vet does that as well. So my vet, I was actually at my vet's house last week working with their new dog, he and his wife, and he gives his dog turkey necks. So I know if they were dangerous, he wouldn't do that because he's a vet. So yeah, I know chicken necks can be bad. So you don't want to do chicken necks, but turkey necks are bigger, and I think then they're fine. I know a lot of people that do that. You just don't want to cook them. These are raw, and we freeze them. And then I give them to the dogs frozen because it takes longer for them to chew through them. Okay, let's see. I am once again trying to scroll. I'm actually going to type in my email address again just to see if that will move the... oh, it moved it up. There actually wasn't any more questions underneath. So let me scroll back. If we don't have any other questions, we'll do the drawing. And Marion, if you would email me, I would love to like hook up with you sometime and talk service dog stuff. Because that would be really interesting, especially where you have one and you're on a board. I would love to pick your brain about some stuff. So you can email me at Tracy with an I at pupford.com, and then just give me your email. And we can email. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and do the drawing, and then if we do get some more questions, then I'm happy to answer them. So, okay, I need to put all these in, and tonight's winner is Destiny Nicole from South Carolina. So congratulations, Destiny. So Destiny, if you could, and then Sanjita, I will answer your question. So Destiny, if you could email, I'm typing it in, hello@pupford.com, and let them know what kind of training treats you want. They have, if you haven't had them yet, you're in for a treat. My dogs love them. And that's all I use now with clients. So I usually use salmon, but I like, they have chicken, beef, rabbit, sweet potato, I like I said, my dogs love the salmon. And I think they have another one, but I can't remember. But anyway, I will email them as well and let them know that you won, and then they will send you a free bag of treats. Okay, so Sanjita, my puppy 10-week-old nips a lot. Julie, sorry, I forgot to go back and answer your question. Okay, Sanjita, I'm going to answer Julie's question because it was way up there, and then I'll answer yours. So how can you tell between a play bark and an attention bark? So usually they might sound the same. Play bark is usually a higher pitched bark. So like play bark is high pitched, and it means like, hey, I want to play, come play. Where a really low pitched, like a deep bark, is more of an aggressive or a beware kind of bark. Attention bark is kind of, to me, is kind of somewhere in the middle, but may sound more like a play bark. Like when I go to people's houses and dogs sit and look at me and bark, 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 I call that attention barking. Because I have treats, I'm talking to the owners, they want my attention, they want treats. I call that a demand barking. So they want attention, they're like demanding treats. I ignore that. Like I don't even acknowledge them. I totally ignore them. Whereas play bark can sometimes be a higher pitched, it might be accompanied by a play bow. So a lot of times I'll see dogs bark, they'll like be bouncing around, moving. They might do a play bow, things like that, where attention barking, they more like just are focused on you and they're just barking at you like, pat me, pat me, pat me, or give me treats, pay attention, pay attention. So they're more just still. There might be other telltale signs, but that's just what I've observed personally, from being in a lot of clients' houses where dogs bark. And I also look at the body language too. So dogs that kind of lunge and then retreat, that's more of a fearful stranger danger type bark. But high-pitched bark is play, and is probably accompanied by running around, play bow, trying to elicit play, where attention barking or demand barking is more just like looking at you and barking at you because they want attention. Okay, so now let me go back up and answer Sanjita about nipping. So with nipping, it's really normal for puppies to do that because, sometimes they elicit play that way. They learn bite inhibition. They explore the world with their mouth. So, oh, Destiny. Yes, I think they'll ask for your address. They might already have it through the whole Pupford community, but yeah, while you're emailing them anyway, just give them your address and then they'll send them to you. Okay, so going back to the puppy biting, it really is normal. So one thing that I do is if I have like dogs nipping, biting, sometimes I'll just put my hands up and say, ow, too hard. And I might get up and walk away, like remove my attention. But then you want to show the dog what you want them to do instead. So I redirect them to a toy. And it's like, hey, I can't nip me, but here's a toy. And you can chew on your toy. If they drop the toy and go back to biting or nipping me, then I calmly pick up the puppy, put them in a crate with a toy, because we don't want the crate to be a punishment. So we put them in the crate with a toy and give them a 1 to 2 minute timeout. It's not really a bad timeout. It's just a like chill out, decompress type thing. And then let them out. If they go back to nipping at you a third time, then it's back in the crate with a toy, cover the crate, and they stay in there for like an hour. They need a nap and you need a break. Another thing that I do with nippy, bitey dogs is I teach hand targeting, because they have to do it with a closed mouth. So instead of biting me, I'm going to like walk away and ignore you, and I'm not going to interact. But if you hand target, then I'm going to like give you a treat and interact with you. So if you don't know what hand targeting is, let me see if I can. Hey, touch. Yes. So all she did was come up and touch her nose to my hand. Touch. Yes. Good girl. She's a good girl. So she just comes up and touches her nose to my hand. But you notice that she does it with a closed mouth. And so if the dog opens their mouth or I feel teeth, I don't reward for that. I'll just say, oh, try again. Try again. Okay, go get him, Jade. So the way that I teach that, if you don't know, is I put a treat in between my fingers, like that. So I'm luring the dog. So the dog sees the treat, smells the treat. This is one reason I use salmon treats. The dog comes to sniff the treat, and as soon as I feel their nose, I click and then give them the treat. After I've done that like 5 times, then I'll put my hand up without the treat and see if the dog comes up and touches my hand. And then if they do, then yes, treat or click treat. And then I'll name it. And then I'll say touch. So I redirect biting and barking with touch, because both have to be done with a closed mouth. But yeah, try to redirect to a toy. Let them know, oh, you can't chew on me. My hands are off limits. And I know sometimes it's hard. I was with a 10-week-old, cutest little blue pit bull puppy. And if you guys know me, I'm a big pit bull advocate. I've had 8 now, and I've got 3 right now. But I left bleeding. Like, this puppy was so relentless with biting, and he had needle sharp teeth that I literally had like scrapes and was bleeding. So if that happens, we just kind of did a timeout. I'm like, okay, let's put the puppy in a crate with a toy for like a timeout for a minute, because we kind of all needed. This dog was jumping up and biting at clothes, his owner's, mine, biting everything. We were trying to redirect to a toy, but he was pretty relentless. And this was in the evening, when dogs are most active and they get the zoomies and they're just like overbearing. So we did put him in a crate for a timeout for like 2 minutes and then let him out. Okay. Emily, maybe I should teach Raven a cue to walk nicely on the leash, then a separate one for heel. Yeah, so I actually do that. When I walk my dogs, I'll just say something like, let's walk or let's go. And I will let them, as long as they're not pulling, I let them sniff and explore, because it's really good for them. It's good for dogs to sniff and explore on walks. They get a lot of mental stimulation, and it's really enriching for them. So, and most people, unless you're a marathon runner, most people don't walk as fast as dogs need to go to get sufficient exercise. So allowing them to sniff and explore is really good. So I do allow that as long as they're not pulling. However, if we are walking through a crowd of people, or we're crossing a street, or, with Jade, if we're in a store, or even like my other dogs, I use them for Canine Good Citizen tests, and they're the neutral dog. Then they need to learn a heel. So then I do teach a heel, and I do have them right by my side. So Emily, if you want to remind me, and I know there was something else that I was supposed to send you, and I was going to go back through and our messages and look up your email address, because of course I forgot it again. I know it has something to do with flour, but I couldn't remember. And then remind me, give me a list of everything I'm supposed to send you, but ask me, oh, maybe it's loose leash walking I was sending you. I don't know. I have to go back. Just send it to me again. But ask for my heel handout, and I do teach heel a little bit different, and I do have a formal heel, which means heel. Otherwise, if we're just loose leash walking, I just let them walk. But then if they start to pull, I stop or change direction or do the things that I do for loose leash walking. And then heel is totally separate. So yeah, that's a good idea. And I'm sorry, I may have misunderstood your question when you messaged me about that. But yeah, I do have two separate behaviors, loose leash walking versus heel. So, okay, let me see if we have any other questions. If we don't, then I'll let you guys go for tonight. Looks like that's it, if nobody has any other questions. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and I hope you guys all learned something. I do try and get on the Facebook page like once a day for 20 to 30 minutes and answer questions. So I will try to, grab questions that way as well. And I have had a few people reach out to do some virtual private training for things that take a little bit longer to answer, like on this platform. And I am giving a 10% discount of my normal price for all Pupford people that want to do like a Zoom virtual. I'm offering that as well. So you can email me if you want to learn more about that. Let's see, it says new message. So let me see. Oh, it's just you guys saying thanks. Okay. Thanks so much, you guys. And we will see you next week, same time, 6:00 Mountain Time. And congratulations again, Destiny. And I will see you all next week.